Welcome back to the Afrolatina Chronicles. I'm Jennifer. This video is a little different today because I want to tell you how I almost lost my Spanish. So I guess this is like a story time video, I guess. But yeah, I want to tell you the story about how me and Afrolatina, who came here when she was 10, almost lost her first language. So let's start from the beginning. I was born in Panama and I came here when I was 10 years old. That's about the 4th grade. And when I lived in Panama, I was an honor roll. I was a pretty good student. I was really good at English class, but I was not proficient in English whatsoever. My mom knew English, but all of my other family that lived in Panama all spoke Spanish. So that was my first and basically only language. And when I was 10, my mom decided to come here because the hospital she worked in for years was closing and all of her family was already in the United States. So we ended up in Brooklyn, New York. And when I came to Brooklyn, I did not know any English. Maybe just, how are you? And, I'm fine. I think I was really good at saying, leave me alone. But besides that, no English whatsoever. So I started in 4th grade because they made me repeat a grade since I was not proficient in English. Well, half of the grade because I came here in January. And when I got to 4th grade in Brooklyn, shout out to PS 327, my teacher, she tried her best. I guess she thought that putting me next to the 2 Hispanic looking kids was going to do something for me, when those 2 kids pretty much kind of made my life miserable because they didn't want to be associated with someone A, that didn't speak English, and someone B, that dressed like me, because even at 10 years old and in Panama, I was trying to be a fashionista, but not everyone understood my style. Those 2 kids did not help me at all. They would not even talk to me. They would only sit next to me because the teacher said so. The kids made fun of me because of how I dressed and how I spoke. So that made me feel bad, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to fit in really bad because I didn't want to have a hard time in school. And so I tried my best to learn English. And so I did. And in about 2 months, I was damn near close to proficient in English. And everybody thought it was such a wonderful thing. Oh my God, that's so great. Honestly, how I did it was by watching a lot of Blue's Clues. I watched a lot of the kids shows that teach babies, about the English language. And that helped me a lot to learn English, but at the expense of my Spanish. Because most of the people in my family in New York spoke English, I didn't really have many people to practice my Spanish with. Only my mom, who was working, and my brother, who was being a teenager. Now, fast forward to my first trip back to Panama to visit my family. I remember being in my aunt's house and answering her phone. And instead of saying, hello, which is what Panameñans say when they answer the phone, and I think it's just a Spanish version of hello. I'm not really sure, but that's what we say, right? So instead of saying hello, I say hello, and the person on the other side of the phone was my cousin, and she's like, ¿Quién es? Like, who is this, right? And so I'm like, it's me, Jenny, in Spanish. And she's like, oh, se te olvidó el español. Like, you forgot your Spanish. And that hit like something inside of me. I was like, ah, you're a traitor. Like, oh my God, like, you can't forget your Spanish. If you let go of your Spanish, like, you let go of you. And it was like a little devastating to like have somebody tell me that. And that wasn't the only thing that like made me self-conscious about it, because while I was there also, you know, my other cousins would be like, oh, te volviste gringa, like you became a foreigner, like you became an American now, you don't remember your Spanish. And it was a little heartbreaking because I felt like, you know, like the connection I had with my family in Panama was deteriorating. I knew I was really in trouble when I started forgetting words in Spanish, when I was having conversation with my mom, or, when I was in Panama and I was trying to communicate with my cousins, and I'd be like, uh, uh, esta palabra es esto en inglés. It doesn't help that my cousins in Panama have all learned English in school and are very proficient at it. So they would just speak to me in English, and that's not what I wanted. I also noticed that my conversations with my mom and my brother are mostly in English, or we speak Spanglish, which it's so fluid at this point that sometimes I don't even notice that we're doing it. We're just having conversation and it flows from English to Spanish, English to Spanish. And so that doesn't help my retention of Spanish, because, you know, we're not practicing the words that we need to practice. So I began to slowly just forget Spanish. I couldn't believe it. I was devastated, and I didn't know how to stop it. So yeah, it was scary. This is kind of like a touchy subject that I really don't talk about, because it's like a struggle with my identity, you know. Having my thoughts remain in Spanish was really important to me, because I felt like it was like my identity, that um assimilation to this culture was not going to take away my inner self. And so having my inner thoughts switch from Spanish to English was like I was losing myself, you know. So for a long time I struggled with like, who am I got so many labels thrown at me, like as an Afro-Latina. Back then I didn't know that's what I was. You know, people wanted to call me black, but if they didn't see me in the box of being black, they called me Hispanic, and I couldn't be both to them. I was a white girl, I was an Oreo, I was a gringa, I was an immigrant, I was a fake Puerto Rican, I was so many things, that it was like, who am I really, you know? And it took a lot of soul searching and a lot of rejecting other people's labels that helped me, you know, land at, I'm an Afro-Latina who speaks imperfect Spanish, but I try, who loves her family in Panama, who loves her family in New York, who lives in New York City but still has a connection with her family in Panama, and who doesn't let language define her. You know, if I was to speak three more languages, it wouldn't make me any less Afro-Latina and any less Panamanian than me speaking English and Spanish. Realizing that my thoughts had switched from Spanish to English, and that my main language in my head and in my home and in my life was English, really encouraged me to practice my Spanish and seek out people who spoke Spanish, and seek out ways to like get better at it. So I did. I started, you know, trying to friend befriend people who spoke Spanish. I watched a lot more Spanish television. Caso Cerrado. My aunt got me on that. Anyways, do not judge me. And you know, I tried it. I tried to just, you know, connect with my family in Panama a lot more, call them a lot more, and social media has made that a lot easier than God, because when I came here, there wasn't any social media. It was, I had to call my family on the phone, long distance, which costs money. So it was a lot harder to stay in touch than it is now through WhatsApp and whatever social media you want to pick from. So that has made it easier for me to feel more connected and feel a more of a sense of identity because of the connections I have with my family in Panama. So after all, I have been more proficient in Spanish. Mi español es mejor que antes y se está poniendo mejor cada día. What I said is my Spanish is better than before and it's getting better every day. And I am proud to say that I'm Afro-Latina and that I know a lot better today who I am than I did then. And I have not lost my Spanish. I almost did, and that was a dark time in my life. I feel like I lost me, you know, I lost, like, I don't know how one language could symbolize everything, but I almost felt like I was losing everything. So I am glad to still be able to speak Spanish, still be able to connect with people of different countries with my Spanish, because, you know, it's not just Panamanian people that I can connect with. I can connect with everyone who speaks Spanish. So that's another thing I'm really proud of. I want to be bilingual, be proficient in both, and still feel like myself. Not have to assimilate so much that I lose my sense of self and my culture. So yeah, that was my story time of how I almost lost my Spanish, my first language. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will try to do a lot more videos like this because this was like therapy. I liked it. So story time for me, I think it's a go. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please check out my other videos. So check out my other videos about being an Afro-Latina in New York City. It's a fun thing to be. So see you next time.